Welcome back to Range Anxiety, and he's with me again. We're doing all of this in one session, I'm going to be honest with you, because he's a busy man, businessman. You've got things to do.
Businessman? Well, I don't know about that.
Places to be. He's a miner.
That's it.
Backbone of this country. Don't you forget it.
Thanks, Marty. I appreciate the kind words.
And speaking of which, you dig up a lot of stuff. Where's most of it going?
China.
Right, okay.
Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah, some of it's not allowed to go there, I reckon.
Did you see that Chinese cherry that I showed you a few pictures of?
Yeah, that may have been our raw material,
Yeah.
but I think it's the way they finished that one that decided whether it was going to...
With the rear subframe, you can see the pictures up there right in front of Paul's head. It just decided to do it. Well, it could have been a SpaceX product. Did a rapid, unexpected disassembly.
It did. And we don't know the situation that occurred, or do we?
Yeah, we do. They were just driving down the road with three people. I think they were in Southeast Asia somewhere. But I think it was a Stephanie someone, but it's gone viral, where someone forgot to weld it. Now, that is a robot that's welded that, not a person.
Correct. Yeah, so there's possibly a design flaw or something's not quite right. But realistically, you say Southeast Asia, and it's a very large place.
Yeah.
If that happened, if someone said it happened just driving along here in Australia, they'd think, Adelaide Road, likely to happen to anything.
But, it's not like what would have happened at Holden, because some guy there with a stick welder, dart hanging out his mouth. Well, it would have had, like everything out there, it would have had good penetration.
They're made to Australian conditions, weren't they?
Exactly.
The Adelaide roads we're testing them things on. Of course they would survive.
So would you buy a Chinese car?
Not a Cherry, no.
What about a Dongfeng?
Well, see that
The rounded
See, now you're talking.
Yeah.
Everyone loves the sound of a Dongfeng, or even a Big Wang. Yeah, there's some really weird names coming out
Not
of
me,
there.
kids. Tim.
But there is, though, isn't there? There's Wang Feng,
Yang Wang.
Yang Wang.
More of that later, though.
BYD.
Dongfeng are actually very good at this. They copycat stuff. I mean, the Cybertruck one, it doesn't look so much like a Cybertruck, but the concept's there, and it'll probably do quite well for, what it is. It's certainly, I wouldn't want to be testing whether it's bulletproof, sitting in it.
But that's a bit of a gimmick, isn't it? I mean, realistically, when I go looking for cars, my list of things that I want, whether it's bulletproof or not is not high on the list. Maybe in the States, I don't know.
You've driven downtown San Francisco lately?
Yeah, I haven't.
It's probably quite important.
Pick your market. Yeah. I don't think you get shot up too much in Australia.
Well, that's why it's not coming here.
Nailed it. There you go, people.
And they also BAIC did a little G-Class rip-off. So that was the time when I call these first-gen Chinese cars, when they were just copycats.
They were. And some of them were pretty nasty, let's face it. It could have looked like a Veyron powered with a Cummins diesel,
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a mishmash, and they didn't really work for a lot of people.
And the early gen utes, like that LDV ET60 thing with a little electric motor strapped to the diff, and, it was $93,000. And, I call them first gen vehicles. And Australians are right to be a bit about first gen Chinese cars.
But so were they probably, because they don't exist anymore. It was a stepping stone.
The second gen Chinese cars, though, are something else altogether.
Yep.
Now, let's have a look at some of them, because Beijing Auto Show was on this week.
Did you go?
No. Look, I rang up Zpeng and I said, look, we're going to, and he's like, anytime, Marty, just let me know, I'll send the check.
Except not this week.
Just
not
not
a car
this
show
week.
on.
Yeah, we got a car show on, and you're not welcome. And some of the stuff coming out of there is absolutely mind-blowing. I've got some booger-eating friends that, footballs, meat pies, kangaroos and Holden cars, they're actually there, and I've gone, you would not believe this shit.
Yeah.
There are so many good cars there. Shit you've never heard of.
Exactly. Wasn't it Sandy? Your mate Sandy?
Yeah.
He predicted, I reckon, that is where they're going to be coming from, and he's pretty much on the money.
And the fit and finish is perfect. The quality is perfect. The designs look great. Have a look at that U9 BYD. What is it? It's a Yang
Feng.
No, Yang Wang.
Yang Wang.
Yang Wang. And that car can do a little dance on its active suspension too,
Right.
because that's what you need.
But that's the Cybertruck-ish.
No, that's the thing that looks like a McLaren.
Oh, that one. Yep.
That's
I
a pretty
can't
cool-
see that
No,
wherever it is.
he's blinded by his own brilliance.
But that's all well and good. They do look good. They've got that bit nailed. What's that powered by? How does that, do we know?
BYD are one of the biggest battery manufacturers in the world that sell their technology to everybody else. So I'd say their battery systems are pretty good.
Yeah.
And building an electric motor is not that hard.
No, agreed. But then the biggest thing behind it all is the operating system. Wouldn't that's
Chinese
where
software
they-
is still a bit clunky.
Yeah.
Right.
So was it Huawei or whatever their phone? Is it like that? You know, like we've got CarPlay, Android Auto, that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Well, they will integrate that.
Yeah.
But one thing I can tell you is that the BYD software is still a bit clunky. You know, it's no Silicon Valley effort, but it's still leaps and bounds better than Mercedes, BMW, all of them. Like the Germans cannot do software, full stop. They've got no idea. Japan, pretty poor as well.
Never really their claim to fame either. I remember getting into a fairly fancy Merc back in the day, and it was the exact same operating system as the Hyundai i30. It was even the same lady talking to you, the nav lady.
Well, there you go.
It was.
Yeah.
I don't know who that was, but
Wendy, and there's that little hot hatch called the Dream M, which is also up there for you to look at, which is just a wild looking little car from BYD. Which all leads me to the question, Paul, when do you think one's going to be graced like a Chinese car will grace the housing driveway?
that's the hardest thing to answer because it still has the stigma for me. I don't know what it is. I mean,
Junk crap.
that did hang around, and I don't know if you remember when it changed over, but it did.
Oh, yeah.
But back when we were growing up and we were youngsters, there was that I wouldn't buy that Jap crap. Now it's hit the point where someone says, "Oh, this such and such a car or whatever," and it's like, "Oh, it's Japanese made." Oh, that's a good one.
But you'll run out and buy a Ford Ranger that's made in Thailand.
And no one really thinks about that
He
because of the big
wouldn't run out.
Ford badge
He
on
wouldn't
it.
run out and buy a Ford, actually. I'm wrong.
No, I wouldn't. Or Spain,
Or
and it's
Spain.
the same car.
Or Argentina.
Yeah, you don't know where you're getting it from, but it doesn't seem to have that stigma because it's a Ford.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So if it was a Tesla and it came out of China, which they do, correct? Yeah, no one seems to, well, people either hate them or love them, you know what I mean? It's still a good car. But when it's got BYD, Cherry, or what have you written on the front, people just don't seem to gravitate towards that just yet.
And as we're leaving for today, Paul still won't get on board, even though they did name a vehicle after him, Yang Wang.
Yeah, we need to find out what those two words mean. We don't know.
Bye-bye.